This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right.
What's up, O? How you feeling, man?
Good. I just went 12 rounds with Omar because he lives in the past like some of our Dolphins.
Who won the fight?
You know, what can I remain undefeated. What can
You
I say?
remain undefeated.
What can I say? You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. It's a burden some of us have to carry.
Gotcha.
No, but seriously, he was like,
what's the core of the? I don't need to repeat it.
Well,
what's
it's
the
not
core
just
of the
Omar.
issue?
It's not just Omar. What Omar did today, some of our listeners have done, and I kind of take it out on them too. And I've done rants on this shit. You got to stop living in the past, bro. You know, like he was like, well, they're always making the wrong decisions and they pick the wrong players and they allow players to leave. And I'm like, bro, who's been leaving the last 2 or 3 years here now that Chris Greer's totally in charge? You know, who's leaving? Nobody.
Yeah.
And then I go to Omar. Omar, is this not the best team that you've ever covered on the Miami Dolphins? Because I've been around longer. And I'll tell you this is the best team that they've had since back to the Marino days. This is the best all-around team. This is the best quarterback you've had since Marino. So I don't know what's there to complain about. To me, I see the Dolphins as an ascending franchise. The last couple of years to watch Dolphins-Bills was like watching clubbing seals. It was unfair. It was embarrassing. I had never seen under this new Bills and new Dolphins of the last few years, the 3 times they played them this year, I had never seen that the last couple of years. It was always a 20, 30-point loss, an embarrassing game every single time. I could argue Miami could have won all 3 games last year. So to me, that's the part that I don't understand. I think Omar carries all the baggage from all the other disappointments. But fuck, dude, you don't blame Mike McDaniel for what Joe Philbin did. You know what I mean? That's just not fair. That's not the way it goes. That's not this franchise. That's the way I see it. I see that this is now the best combination you've had of front office and head coach and quarterback that you've had in over 2 decades. So to me, I don't understand the Dolphin fan that lives in the past or lives with the pain of the past and say, why don't I look at what's going on here now, dude? Look at the secondary. Look at that defense now. Look at that offense. Look at the speed on that offense. Sure, am I a little concerned about left guard? Am I a little concerned about right tackle? Of course I am. Am I a little concerned about, do we have enough at linebacker? I get it. There's a couple of spots you might be concerned about, but overall, dude, it's a pretty damn good team. And so I just think you should be positive, and I think you should be feeling that your team is headed in this direction. That's the way I look at it. How about you?
Right. And so here's what I'll say about this. And our whole segment doesn't have to be rehashing because I'm sure fans heard you guys go back and forth. I will say this. I understand what Omar is saying to an extent, because I do think you have a tendency, and we've talked about this, to get high a little bit on hopium, right? And a lot of fans do. And I think that's the good thing about fandom. I do that as well. I tell you guys every year, the Phillies, they did me right last year, but I've gone so many years where I get excited every fall just to see them let me down. Same with the Sixers. I am very happy. I have a lot of hope. I really do believe the Sixers can win the title this year. And so I have the hope. But that being said, I am preparing my heart from the breakdown that I've also felt for so many years as well. And so I think that when you're scarred, like a lot of Dolphins fans have been, when you're scarred because you've covered a team like Omar has been for 20 years, then you're so used to failure that you come and say, hey, I'm going to prepare myself and tell myself that failure is going to happen. And if I get surprised, then great. But I'm not going to believe they can do it until they show me. And so I don't think that you should force a fan to be one way or the other. Like, I think fans are going to be, you're going to have certain fans that are more like you, and there's going to be certain fans that are more like, oh, and I think that's the part of fandom that's awesome. There are certain fans who are Dolphins fans, but still are probably pessimistic on Tua.
Yeah. By the
and
way, I've only been spewing hopium the last couple of years.
right. But
For 20 years.
I will tell you this to your
For that, I spread zero hopium.
right. So, well, I will say this to your point. I've only covered this team for 5 years, but this on paper is the most talented Dolphins team that I've seen since I've covered it. And I'm guessing it's been the most talented Dolphins team in the last 15, 20 years. But that doesn't mean that that it's a given that they are AFC East champs, right? They still got to earn it.
No, but you shouldn't feel like I felt 10 years ago when I knew they had no shot.
Right.
Okay. That's how I felt 10 years ago. That's how I felt 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I felt they had no shot. People would get pissed at me all the time because I would tell them they don't have the quarterback. The coach is not the right guy. The GM is making all kinds of mistakes. I don't think this GM makes a ton of mistakes. I don't think this coach is bad. I think this coach is very good. In fact, what he did, what Mostert did this week when he talked to you guys and he told you about his exit meeting, which made me even feel better about Mike McDaniel, because most coaches that you've covered and I've covered are stubborn as hell, set in their ways, and rarely ever admit they're wrong in public.
Correct.
And the fact that this guy admitted he was wrong, admitted to the press in the press conference he was wrong, admitted to his players that he was wrong, to me, that is enormous. That shows that he's going to grow from this situation. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear that, and I think
there's just a lot of positives nowadays compared
to
what
there is, and we've talked about this at length, the impact that Mike McDaniel's had on Tua. I think Mike McDaniel's a really good coach. I do think there's a lot of optimism in the future. But the one thing I will say is, year 2 is going to be very important, because just being transparent, even though he's a completely different style of coach, I had the same optimism after seeing Brian Flores early in his career. I thought, and a lot of fans thought, hey, we finally got the right coach. I think that it was, there was a lot of comparisons. We've got our Don Shula, right? He is that type of coach. He's going to be hard on you, but he's going to be hard. He's going to get the most out of you, right? And it turned so quickly, right? And so you could say some of that was Flores is doing, but I think that's why they're like that. To me, is an example of why I don't go overboard. Like I'm never going to be like, oh, well, hey, it's the Dolphins' ride. This is their Super Bowl to lose. They're AFC East. I just don't. I've covered this league long enough to know that things go in waves. And so right now we're on a good wave. You're trending upwards. Now the whole thing is keep your quarterback healthy. But as we saw last year, the question was, can McDaniel fix the offense? Can he fix Tua? He did, and then the defense regressed. And so every year is a new issue. Every year is a new. Well,
but again, your entire secondary was injured. I'm not, I'm going to look at why your defense. But it wasn't because you didn't live up to expectations. It's because you were so injury riddled that it completely changed.
And scheme was a part of that as well too. And so they've made some changes. Ideally, you get some guys back. But my whole point is that every year you can say, hey, we've solved last year's issue, and then another issue pops up. So you could tell me this year, hey, the biggest issue for the Dolphins coming into this year, in my opinion, probably 1 and 2. Number 1 is Tua going to be able to stay healthy the whole season. That's number 1 far and away. Number 2, and it's also related to number 1, can the Dolphins offensive line protect him and open up lanes in the running game? And then number 3 is probably is Vic Fangio going to change this defense, right? And so you could tell me point A is right, Tua stays healthy for 17 games. You could tell me point B is right. Somehow this offensive line, which I still have a lot of questions about, it improves and they become at least an average rushing team. They keep Tua upright. And number 3, Vic Fangio makes this team, at least a top 12 defense, right? And you could tell me all those things, and it wouldn't shock me if something else becomes an issue. Some other issue cost them in the end. And that's my whole point of year to year. You just never know.
Yeah, no, but I do feel really good about this team.
Yeah,
this year. I think they have a shot at not just making the playoffs. They have a shot, I think, at winning this division. They have a shot at being a really good team. Obviously, you need things to go your way, and I hope they do, because I know the Dolphin fan base deserves it. All right, one more thing. June now, we got the cut coming up with Byron Jones, which will open up money. And then I don't know if we'll see a Wilkins deal. And obviously, you need some money for your rookies. There aren't a lot of rookies on this team.
Right.
But the other thing is that we may have some June 1st cuts.
Yeah.
And I was just reading where the Commanders, I got it right this time because I said the other word last time. They are over the cap right now. They've got some issues, and they've got to cut linemen. Ben Standig thinks that they're going to cut a couple linemen possibly to get under there. And so one of the guys is Chase Rollier, which doesn't do much for me. But the other guy is a 31-year-old. He's 6'6". He's 310 pounds. Andrew Norwell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, guard.
Yeah, a guard. Exactly, a guard. And so they, that will save them $4 million more, I think, to get them closer to getting under the cap. And then they're going to cut both linemen because they need money to sign their rookies and all that stuff they're talking about. And then they were already talking about who is Norwell's kind of competition. Like Rivera was, talking about the guy that also is going to be playing that spot and trying to, make his way. So he kind of reading between the trees. He thinks those guys could be released with the money that they're going to free up and whatever couple pennies they have available right now. Do they have enough to make that kind of a move? Because there's Wilkins, there's Sealer, there's the rookies. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? I think that's a priority. I'm not sure, but can they also add somebody like that? And what do you think of an Andrew Norwell?
They certainly have the flexibility to make a move for another veteran offensive lineman. I don't think they're cap tied to where they can't make another move. The question is, do they feel the need and do they want to spend the capital on it? So far in free agency, they haven't made a big move for any offensive lineman. And that was different from last year. And so that shows that they have a little bit more confidence this year, which, like I said, I am not sure I agree with. I'm not sure I will repeat this time and time again. I will tell you what the team is thinking. It is not always what Cam is thinking. But
I agree.
But I do not have a job with the Dolphins. And so I am here to report what the Dolphins are thinking and what that means. But I would be a little bit worried.
I'm with you. They tell me they like Eichenberg and they like Jackson. And I tell them, like, yo.
Right. Yeah. And so
I get it, but
there are certain things that I think
the way we may feel and the way they feel, it's completely different. Right. And that's what people sometimes don't understand. Right. But I bring it up because here's the other caveat to all of this. Yep. He's 31 years old, Cam. Yeah. Guess what this calls for? A Chris Greer 2-year special, baby. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, yeah, I really think they need to go out there and get another tackle. Even if you want Austin Jackson to start at right tackle, I think we saw Teron Armstead get hurt last year. I think Teron Armstead's one of the best left tackles in football when he's on the field. But the problem is he's a year older. We already saw him in year one. I think you need somebody to protect him. You also need somebody if Austin Jackson gets hurt or doesn't play well.
That's coming.
To me, that's the biggest need on this football team. You need another tackle who you feel comfortable with starting, but who also you feel comfortable sliding in at left tackle or right tackle if one of those guys get hurt. And I think that you should spend significant capital on it if you need to. Now, with the Dolphins,
I think that's already done. I think Cameron Fleming's coming. I think it's done.
Okay.
I think that's the one.
So.
I don't believe it's Luan or Brandon Shell. And I think I told you this earlier in the week because I already was talking about it.
Yeah.
Luan doesn't play right tackle. Shell can't play left tackle. Fleming plays both. So Fleming can either compete with Jackson to start, and Jackson can flex too at the same time. Or if, God forbid, something happens to Armstead, you move Fleming to left and then bring Jackson off the bench to go right. But I think you get the flexibility you want with Fleming, where you're not going to get the flexibility with Luan. Plus, you get the injury history. And then Brandon Shell, God bless him, he did a really solid job at right tackle, but he cannot play left tackle. That's kind of been shown, and he gets exposed there badly. He is not a left tackle. And so to me, Cameron Fleming, just math tells you the Dolphins have to be signing this guy. That's what it says to me.
We shall see. I haven't heard a ton about that. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but who knows? I mean, June.
It makes sense, right? What I'm telling you.
Trust me, I have been on the brigade of we need another tackle or two or two. I'm not even tripping. Hey, but I'll take one, but at least one, and maybe even another body in that O line, with some flexibility to play guard. But like I said, they have said time and time again that they believe they have a lot more belief in that room than fans give it credit for, or that we do as media. And so we shall see. I mean, I'll tell you this: they told us.
By the way, Dov Kleiman is reporting now the Commanders are cutting starting center Chase Rollier.
There it is.
So
you have predicted it before.
Stan Dig, he's
Yeah,
he's as solid as they come. So he must be reading the room right. So all right, so here we go. The center's been cut. Now the question is, will the guard cut next?
Right, because obviously the Dolphins have a center in Connor Williams they feel good about. But yeah, you never know. Like I said, this is a time of year where you're going to see guys getting pressed for pay cuts as we get into the close between now and training camp. And if they don't take a pay cut, then it's a sad part of the business, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah. All right. What do you got going on in the NFL Network this week, my friend?
Yeah, man, it's starting to get light time for us. So I'm going to take a little bit of a trip. My little brother graduates college next week, and so I'll be going down to Houston on Tuesday, and so I'll be hanging out with him. Today is Cinco de Mayo, and so I don't have the Latino heritage, but I do celebrate, and so I'm going to partake in that and watch the Sixers win Game 3. I know Game 2 did not go well. I know some people have been talking about the Sixers and Embiid and Harden, but best believe I still have a lot of confidence in my boys. And Joel gets his MVP.
How does Harden play like he played in Game 1?
Hey, it's fine. We split the series just like Miami. Just like Miami.
No.
You split the first two games.
Don't even compare the effort of Game 2 Miami and Game 2 Philadelphia. Please.
Hey, I'm just saying.
No.
Go back home.
No, come on.
He gets his MVP trophy that was stolen from him.
Be honest.
Before.
Be honest.
I'm just telling you.
Even without Jimmy Butler, and you guys had Embiid for Game 2, even without Jimmy Butler, Miami outplayed Philadelphia and showed way more Harden character in that. In fact, remember, Miami had a chance to win that game. Philadelphia never showed up.
That's absolutely true. Philly played awful. They shot 8%. 8% from three. Single digits.
Bro. You can tell that they got their split and they said, we're done. We're happy with
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, but that won't happen tonight. They're coming back tonight.
But then again,
they're at home.
I hate to say it this way. You really can't compare the organizations and you can't compare the coach.
Oh, that's fine. I just hope we see them in the Eastern Conference Finals.
You know what I mean?
That's all I hope. We're gonna have some. We're gonna have some fun shows. We're gonna have some fun shows.
If you beat Spo, it's because you actually had the better talent. But no coach in this league right now, I believe, can't beat Spo straight up with the same talent. If you both have the same talent, you're going down. That's just the way it goes. You know.
I have no disrespect to put out there for the Heat. I told you. I
have none for the Sixers.
Like
I
Jimmy
have
Butler
none
is
for the
my favorite
Sixers
player who is not
their head coach. I'm not really a believer in their head coach, whereas our head coach has obviously proven it time and time.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler is my favorite player who doesn't play on the Sixers. I love everything about him. I miss him. I wish we didn't trade him. But if we gotta get him, I'm gonna do it sadly. What's that meme where the guy's pointing the gun reluctantly and he's gotta get rid of? That's how we're gonna feel when we got to take care of the Celtics. Celtics are real business, and this game's probably gonna go six or seven series in this series, and so we got to take tonight. And y'all handle New York, and if we both handle our business, then we'll see you.
But it's an easier match. The Heat have an easier matchup too than the Sixers.
They do, but the cards are laid how it is. I don't make excuses. The schedule is how it is.
I'm just saying the task for the Sixers is much harder.
The Sixers' task is a lot more challenging. The Celtics are the favorites right now to win the East.
Although without Butler, it kind of becomes a little even. At least you got to.
Right. But right now, most people expect the Celtics to win the East. And so the Sixers would have to pull an upset to beat the Celtics against the Eastern Conference Finals. So we understand the challenge. We know Tatum is a baller. We know Jaylen Brown is a baller. They got the depth. But I'm betting on my guys. Not betting because we're not allowed to bet at NFL Network. That's be clear with that.
Oh,
But,
you guys can't? You guys can't bet? They don't want you to bet either in ESPN?
no,
I mean,
no, I do not bet at all. Do not have me out here. Do not have me out here like getting a suspension like some of these players and coaches. But I would pick my guys, the Sixers.
Because you're owned by the league. So
it's a lot of details involved in that, but
no, dude, it makes total sense that if you work for MLB or NFL
betting whatsoever.
Yeah, you're tied to those leagues. You can't be betting because you might have inside information and all that kind of crap. And that makes a lot of sense. It sucks for you, but that makes a lot.
It's all good. I get to watch. I watch sports freely as a fan, and especially football, especially basketball. Like tonight, I'm gonna have.
Only an addict's gonna miss it. That really, the rest of us that aren't really addicts that we have to gamble or whatever. That doesn't matter to us. So you're right. It's not that big a deal in the end. All right, follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe and catch his exceptional work when he's not on vacation on NFL Network. Cam,
I'm not on vacation that much.
Huh?
I'm not on vacation that much.
Oh, not that much, but this week you are. So they're not going to see you that much. That's all I'm saying.
I am. Got to see the little bro cross the stage. It'll be awesome. So,
all right, baby.
All right, my man.
Thank you. And congratulations to your little bro. There you go. All right. We have unleashed the Wolf Pack.